Thanks everyone. Good evening, and let's make a start. Welcome one and all. It's 6 p.m. on the 13th of May 2025, and I declare our agenda briefing of this evening open. We start by acknowledging the Whaleback people, the traditional custodians of the land, and pay our respects to elders both past and present. In accordance with the City of Canning Policy CM 105, agenda briefings are conducted to provide elected members with a forum to ask questions of the administration to enable informed decision-making by Council at the following week's ordinary Council meeting. Agenda briefings are not decision-making forums, and questions may be asked and answered, but no debate or discussion is permitted. Questions must specifically relate to an item on tonight's agenda. Elected members and employees must disclose any financial proximity or partiality interest they have in an item on the agenda and declare the interest at the commencement of the briefing or at the latest when the item is about to be discussed. Financial proximity and impartiality interests are to be disclosed in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act. And elected members disclosing a financial or proximity interest must not participate in that part of a briefing relating to the interest and must leave the meeting for the duration of the item. Agenda briefings are open to the public. This briefing is being live streamed via the City's YouTube channel. And lastly, please ensure all mobile phones are turned off or at the very least silent for the duration of the evening. Thank you. What else have I got here? Announcements of a charity day. I've got Councillor Tuchek is not here. We shall move on. Apologies for this evening. We have an apology from Councillor Hearn, who is not able to join us tonight. Councillor Councillor Ben Kunzer is not here presently. Have we received an apology? We have. Councillor Kunzer is also an apology for this evening. An approved leave of absence. Councillor Tuchek has an approved leave of absence from May the 1st until June 30. Disclosures of interest at item 3 on the agenda. CEO, have we received any disclosures?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've received no declarations of partiality or financial interest for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. At item 4, questions time from the public. I'm advised that we have no questions from the public, so I don't propose to open or close. We shall move to item 5. Item 5 is items brought forward for the convenience of those in the public gallery. There are none. Reports of committee meetings, there are none. Reports at item 7. The first report, 7.1, is from the Office of the Chief Executive Officer. There are none. Item 7.2, the Office of Miss Lorraine Driscoll, the Director of Corporate and Commercial. It's CC 008 of 25. The title of the report being the Monthly Financial Report for March 2025. The Office's recommendation is on screen. The recommendation is on page 7 of the agenda and is also on screen. Thank you, Governance. Councillors, any questions in relation to this item? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I refer to paragraph 37, the half-court basketball court at Bridgeway Park. Did the City receive any comments during the consultation process? And were DBCA and the Canning River Regional Park volunteers consulted and sought out for their feedback?
Director Bowe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm aware that, I understand that the project required the DBCA approval, so there would have been a submission made through to them, but I can follow up for the Deputy Mayor and provide feedback.
Thank you. Anything further?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. Page 26, Southern Link Road. Is Western Power now agreeable to selling the land parcels as previously they wanted and wish to retain them?
Director Bride.
Through Mr. Mayor. At this stage, we're still working with them, so there hasn't been a definitive stance on where Western Power are, but we can definitely follow up and let councillors know where that one's at.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one more. And again, on page 26, the Houston Way footpath, consultation and design is now complete. When does the City expect construction to begin? Thank you.
Director Bowe, any clue?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, over the next few weeks, we plan to start that project.
Over the next few weeks, that's good news. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Any further questions on that item? Yes, Councillor Secon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just on page 26, under capital expenditure, Shelley Beach Master Plan, could I inquire what are the minor rectification to be done at the playground?
Director Bowe, is that around the gate and fence and, yep,
Yes, it is, Mr. Mayor.
no,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
It's just in relation to the ongoing issue we had with the gate there, Councillor Second, but I'll engage with the staff and just see whether there's anything else that's causing us some concerns down there.
We're putting a more robust gate on there, something that'll be self-closing. The first one wasn't treated particularly well and has needed to be replaced, and there'll be a cost on that. Thank you. Any further questions before we move on? Thank you, councillors. We'll move to item 2 on the agenda. It's CC 009 of 25. This was a late agenda item, the proposed differential rating for 2025. The officer's recommendation is on screen. It is also on page 2 of the late agenda paper. Councillors, or Director Driscoll, would you like to say a few words? There was just an error in the printed copy of the late agenda paper in relation to this item, and I'll get Director Driscoll just to explain what they were. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to draw your attention to paragraph 19, which is a table which outlines the rates in different categories. We picked up an error, which I just wanted to advise you of. In the residential non-minimum, we advise the proposed average rates for 25-26 is 1440. That in fact should be 1487, which would mean the proposed increase is $95, not 48. That the residential minimum in that table is correct. The average residential will obviously change as well. The figure under proposed rates for 25-26 is 1348 and not
Those figures are just on screen too, councillors. Just
Thank you.
thank you.
And not 1320, and the proposed increase is $88 as opposed to $60. There will be some flow-on changes throughout the report, mainly around the grouping categories in each area. So apologies for that error, but the differential rate increase remains as included in this report. So apologies for that.
Thank you, Director, and of course that'll be corrected prior to the publishing of the OCM papers. The report will be corrected. Thank you. Any questions just in relation to the differential rating? Yes, Councillor Singh.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, question for the CEO. CEO, given that in the recent state government election, there has been millions of dollars committed to City of Canning, perhaps a total of up to $30 million. Do you see when that funding comes through, can that be converted into some sort of rate benefit to our ratepayers to keep the rates down? What's your view on that?
CEO.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Singh. Nice to see you back as well. Around budget time, so it's always timely. What I would say is the investment decisions the funding commitments that have been made as part of the state and federal government elections, in the most part, were very consistent with the city's advocacy position that it took on those projects. That they are all projects that are necessary for us to continue to invest in asset renewal and in asset development to provide services and facilities for our community. So we think that those projects have limited or offset some of the muni funds that we would have otherwise had to spend to bring those projects to fruition. So I think they will absolutely have a benefit to our ratepayer, but the facilities are necessary nonetheless. So I don't see that will necessarily reduce rate revenue or the requirement of rate revenue, but as you know, we've got a full book of things that we need to do over the next 15 years, and those projects, whilst we've been successful in getting some contributions from government, will still require investment from the city.
Thank you. Anything further, councillors, before we move on? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can the city please provide some further information and advice regarding the implementation of the 3-bin curbside collection system as it fits into the 25-26 annual budget?
Director Bowe.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Council's made no decision as yet, Deputy Mayor, in relation to the introduction of the three-bin system. We have presented on a couple of occasions, which included some forecasted funding requirements to both introduce the bins and then to service the bins for the FOGO-derived waste. We certainly have a number of other projects that we're dealing with in the waste management space, as you'd be aware, in relation to our other land holdings and other waste management facilities that are within the city that we think are a priority, and we certainly hope to be referring the outcome of those through to council over the next month or so. But we have provisioned for the capital investment required to introduce the third bin. Whether or not our council supports the introduction of a FOGO service or a GO service is yet to be referred formally through to council. And it should also be noted that over the last couple of years, the mandated introduction of the third bin to local governments has been revisited by the state government, and certainly the 2025 timeframe that was originally forecast is no longer current, but we're working with the relevant authorities and the other stakeholders on that space. We hope to be able to present to the elected members over the next probably few months, I think maybe in 3 or 4 months, in relation to revisiting that proposal.
Thank you. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Just one more question. Thank you, Mr Mayor. So can the city confirm that it will be working between now and the presentation of the 25-26 annual budget to council that it'll be to decrease the advertised differential rate as it currently sits at 6.85%?
CEO.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, our commitment remains to present to council at its special council meeting on the 1st of July, or projected to be the 1st of July, a balanced position which, and we also acknowledge the council's desire to ensure that we're only raising enough rates to be able to continue to offer our services and facilities in a sustainable way. So absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, councillors. We'll move on to CC 010 of 25. Title of the report being 33 to 37 Murray Road in Welshpool, Future Management. Lost the word, plan. The officer's recommendation appears on page 54 of the agenda and is on screen. Are there any questions in relation to the item? I just wanted to ask a question of Director Driscoll. I think I might ask that we just have a think about AI, the first, A1, the first there, just the way it's written. I'm not sure if I'm the only person in the room. It just doesn't sound right. I know what the intent of it is. Rents to be at market rent or no less than 10% of the market rent. That to me doesn't sound right. It's saying that rents will never be less than 10% of the market. I think we're talking about within 10% of whatever the market rent. Does that make sense? Can we perhaps just have a look at the wording around that? Because to me it's not clear what the intent of that is. That was the only comment I had to make in relation to it. I've got no other further issues. Any questions from councillors in relation to that item? Thank you. Then we shall move on to the next item under the directorate of Mr. Graham Bride, the Director of Planning and Development. The first item is PD 004 of 25. The title of the report being the initiation of Scheme Amendment number 18 to Local Planning Scheme number 42, updating scheme text to introduce new short-term rental accommodation provisions, and the recommendations on page 62. And also, of course, on screen. Any questions in relation to the scheme amendment? Yes, Councillor Second.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. With regards to the short-term rental accommodation, all STRA providers must register their properties with the Department of Mining and Energy. Is there a separate registry for the City of Canning as well?
Director Bride.
Through Mr Mayor, no, there is a singular registry. And the state government agency works with the city. It tells us, for example, when a provider is getting close to the the number of nights they're allowed to have. So there is one register, but we have access to that register, so we don't duplicate that.
Thank you.
Councillor Secon, yes. Anything further? Thank you. Any further questions in relation to that item? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just in addition to Councillor Secon's question, I think it's paragraph 33, the city notes that there are 157 stars in the city of Canning. Would the city be able to provide council with a table showing how many stars are in each suburb and whether they are hosted or unhosted? Is that possible from that register?
Is it possible to break it down, Director?
Through Mr Mayor, we can probably go one better and send a map around with all the locations. So our team did that the other day, so we can circulate that tomorrow.
Tremendous. That's easy. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Good question. Any further questions? Deputy Mayor, yes.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. A couple more, if I may. The DA for unhosted stars for more than 90 nights, what are the conditions in the management plan that we require from the applicants? So do we, in that management plan, do we make clear, or they have to make clear, the rules around parking, noise and antisocial behaviour?
Director?
Yeah, through Mr Mayor, that particular management plan, which is a standard condition for all of those that are over 90 nights, does include information such as guest procedures, no parties being allowed, check-in, check-out details, contact details of the owner, so they are provided to neighbours, and laundry and bin collection details. So it's a whole management of that particular site is included in that management plan.
And sorry, Mr Mayor, just one more, if I may.
No, go ahead.
I note that the City of Belmont and the City of South Perth require operators to give their guests a code of conduct. Did the City consider doing the same?
Director Bride.
Through Mr Mayor, we have got a standardised template for management plans, which I think covers off the issues that neighbours would be most interested in. But we can certainly put in a call to those councillors just to see what they've done in that space and update councillors.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Bright. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Secon.
For a resident looking at STRA options, where should they go to in the first instance? Would it be Department of Mining and Energy or local council?
Director Bright.
Through Mr Mayor, it really depends on the intention. If it's if they're hosting, so if they're in the property, then no approvals whatsoever are required. All they need to do is just register with DMERS, and that gives them the opportunity to go on that particular Airbnb or Stays website. If they're looking at more than 90 nights unhosted, it's very clear they have to come to the local government to get a development approval issued. Really depends on their intention. If it's below 90 nights, all they need to do is to register with DMERS and get it up on the relevant provider's website. There's nothing that the city gets involved in. It's only if it's over 90 nights they would come to the city.
Yes, Councillor Secon.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Director. Thanks, councillors. We'll move on to the next item, which is PD 005 of 25, the title of the report being Consideration of Road Names for the New Roads Associated with the Bentley Redevelopment Project. Interesting list of names. The recommendation is on page 71 of the agenda and is on screen. Any questions in relation to those road names? Yes, Councillor Singh. You'd like Singh Road in there?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. To Director Bride, the agenda item explains that these names are proposed by Development WA for the endorsement by City of Canning Council. My question is, can Council propose new names? What would be the procedure if we would like to do so? Given that naming streets, it's a very good opportunity to represent our community which lives in this area, especially. We can make this a win-win situation. However, it's about procedure. Do we have that opportunity, or should we just say either endorse or do not endorse? How does it work? Please.
There's a whole government committee that their only function is to choose these names. I think that's the case, isn't it? It's quite a process. Director?
Yes, through Mr Mayor, yeah, it's the Geographic Names Committee. So they are the ultimate authority that endorses the names. Council is required to, I guess, provide its feedback before the Geographic Names Committee make that decision. But this is a large development area, so it's not uncommon for a larger area of land with multiple roads for that developer to put forward a comprehensive road naming proposal, applicant-led. But certainly council has the opportunity through its reserve register for road names to develop a whole range of names which could have a range of different themes. Those are usually ones where a small developer comes in and subdivides a bit of land and there's one single road and they'll grab one name. In this case, there's a number of roads throughout the whole estate with its own theme. So the suggestion would be that either you endorse or don't endorse. It's very difficult to substitute names without the applicant's approval and without the GNC also pre-validating those names. So yeah, that would be the decision of council to authorise or not.
Thank you. So it's a big process.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be more specific to my question. I'd love to understand, even though it's difficult. So at next week's council meeting, if one of the councillor foreshadows this motion with new names, and let's say that motion goes ahead, what will happen then?
I don't think it's possible to foreshadow more names. We're not responsible for... Director Pride, I might ask you to answer that question. If there was a foreshadowed motion put by a councillor with a bunch of names that he or she created themselves, and that was supported by council, what would then occur?
Through Mr. Mayor, if council did resolve, and obviously a resolution came forward that substituted or added a whole range of different names, it's likely that Development WA would write to GNC to say that those names that were endorsed aren't suitable based on their themes that have been put forward. So, yeah, it would be a very unusual case where an applicant has provided names and council's decided to endorse them, but then add other names because those names need to be allocated to the roads that are there. So if there's more names than roads, it'd be very difficult for the GNC to work out how to apply those.
Thank you. Councillor Singh, we've got more important things to worry about in this council than the naming of roads. Your question, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I really believe it's a very good opportunity to create a win-win situation to name the roads right, because those road names will be there for hundreds of years.
You just have to ask a question. I can't have discussion on it. We can entertain that conversation next Tuesday night, but tonight I can only entertain a question. If you've got a question, happy to entertain it. You've asked a number of the director. I thought he gave you very... you can ask more questions by email.
Question. I was just trying to explain why I'm asking more questions.
Don't need to, just ask the question.
The question is... can council or councillors ask officers to help prepare those names if there is a foreshadow motion rather than coming up with names? Because, of course, the council would like to do the right thing. So is there some help available to come up with the names which have high possibility of going through the process? Is that support available?
I think the answer was that it would be highly unusual since the names have been put to council. The endorsement by council is really a formality. It'd be highly unusual for them to go back and be changed. I think that's what the director was saying in a fairly concise manner. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't think it'd be appropriate to start working in the background to add in a whole range of names without the research and the intent and theme behind the original names.
There's a whole state government committee that their only role is to come up with these names, and we may not like them, we might not think they're wonderful, we might think we could come up with better names, but they're only street names. Councillor Singh.
Oh, we are being asked to endorse them if we feel like they can be better. I mean, that's where, if it's just a formality, they don't really need to ask for our endorsement. If they're asking for our endorsement, we should do the process.
But it's part of the process. Yeah, it's just the process. We're in government. It's bureaucracy. That's the process.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further questions before we move on, councillors? Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Councillor Singh. 7.4 on the agenda. This is a report from Mr. Warren Bowe, the Director of Infrastructure and Environment. The first report from his area is IE 007 of 25. The title of the report being the redevelopment of Whaleback Golf Course Phase 1. The officer's recommendation is on screen, also appears on page 80 of the agenda. Any questions in relation to that item? Thank you, councillors. We shall then move on to IE 008 of 25. That's the award of tender RFT 01/2025, Whaleback driving range, entertainment bays and building renewal works. The officer's recommendation is on page 87 and also on screen. Any questions in relation to the tender? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, we're trying to diversify our revenue streams to take the pressure off and load off our ratepayers, and these are both revenue-generating developments. I'm wondering what the process would be for revenue from Whaleback. What's the process involved in it being used for other projects other than improvements at the golf course?
Director Bowe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The business case is predicated on an annual return to the Whaleback Golf Course Reserve. Primarily the function of that reserve is to reinvest into Whaleback infrastructure and renewal projects, but you'll also note that the business case, both the original one presented to Council last year and the revised business case, also identifies a potential for the profit that is created at the end of the financial year, instead of that full amount being returned to the Whaleback Reserve, for Council to apportion a proportion of that profit back into general revenue, and for Council to consider how it may apply those funds during the annual budget process. So that would be the process, Deputy Mayor.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So would that go straight into a municipal account or reserve, or does another reserve have to be created?
Director Bowe, CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The suggestion is, obviously, we had predicated the net revenue, a proportion of net revenue to come back and offset municipal funds. I think we should put some structure around how we do that. The initial business case spoke to a 25% dividend being provided from the golf course, understanding that the golf course does still have a lot of other things that it needs to do. We had spoken about a phase 2 and a phase 3 proportion of the golf course redevelopment, which speaks to investment in the course, as well as things such as cart sheds and the like. So there are still investment decisions to make in the golf course. We think it's reasonable to divert a proportion of the net revenue to other council projects. We haven't yet decided how we would put structure around that, because at this stage it's in its infancy, and we're still trying to pay down the debt that it has acquired to fund the driving range netting as well as the irrigation. So it could come in as just a net profit or revenue to offset muni, or it could be filtered through a reserve. But we'll decide that once we start generating consistent revenue.
Thank you. Any further questions in relation to the item, the tender? Thank you. We'll move on to the next tender, which is the next item. It's IE 009 of 25. Sorry for my croaky voice. Award of tender RFT 16/2024, pumps and bores. The officer's recommendation is on screen. The recommendation is on page 94 of the agenda. Any questions about the pumps and bores tender? None. Thank you, councillors. We shall then move on to the final item from the Directorate of Mr. Gary Fisher, the Director of Customer and Community, CO 002 of 25, Review of Access Inclusion Policy AD 08. The officer's recommendation, thank you, governance, is now on screen and also appears on page 100 of tonight's agenda. Any questions in relation to the Access and Inclusion Policy? Thank you. We shall then move to the final item of tonight, which is a notice of motion for consideration next week, and that's NOM 003 of 25. It's a call for review of policy LP 09, developer funded public art. The recommendation is on page 107 of tonight's agenda and also on screen. Are there any questions in relation to the notice of motion? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just looking through LPO 9, I couldn't find a reference to a register of developer-funded art. Following our bus tour on Saturday and discussions that was held within that, the confines of that, is this something that the city could look at as part of its review, that is having a register, so people know the locations and can access information about particular art pieces around the city of Canning?
Director Wright, I think it'd be a pretty short list at the moment, wouldn't there? I'm not sure there'd be a lot that would actually bring out the inspiration in people, but...
Yeah, look, as the Mayor pointed out, we're only looking primarily at reasonably small pieces of art on private developments. Certainly, maybe the larger pieces of art we could put in a map and develop a register so that people that are interested can go about and do that. So it's something we can certainly do, but I think as the Mayor pointed out, it's probably the list is probably needs to grow a little bit and be a little bit more expansive first.
I did ask, just by way of context, I asked in the lead up to the notice of motion, I asked the director to provide me photographs, images of the public art that's been established as part of this policy in the last couple of years, and perhaps that email maybe I could distribute that. That wasn't an exhaustive list. I think they're in the report anyway, but maybe in colour or something. So.
Yeah, I think there was only one or two extra pieces on that, but we can certainly refer that same, list of all the public art that's been approved over the last couple of years. So you've got that list or a visual sort of understanding where it is. Yep.
It's through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that'd be good, because I mean, so often we walk past these pieces and items of art, and you wouldn't know without looking up and actually knowing the location. So that'll be a nice thing if there was a register. Thank you.
Tremendous. Well, Director, if we can just flick around that email or the images at least and give Council an idea of what items of public art have been established, that'd be helpful. Yes, Councillor Page.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, what is the sort of difference between architectural features and public art? Some of these things I think would sort of come under just architectural features. Is there sort of criteria they have to meet to be considered public art?
And that's the reason for the review, that at the moment some of the features you'll see in the report are not what most people would actually think would be public art, but have actually just been part of the building facade, just a feature that you would expect on the building in any case, but have been able to go through under the guise of the policy. So that'll be the reason for the review. Do we need to define that better, or do we remove that at all, so that public art needs to be more closely defined, a sculpture, a painting, a mural? What is public art? What do we think it is? And compared to what we're actually receiving. Director, did you want to add anything to the question from Councillor Page?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. No, it's a fair point. Obviously, the elements that we're talking about would not normally be delivered, so they're bespoke, created by an artist rather than a design feature through an architect's firms. But certainly, we can address that as part of the policy review if this goes forward.
Councillor Page?
Yeah, I would still definitely encourage beautiful buildings, good architectural, but yeah, just if there's a little bit more definition around it, I think that'd be worthwhile.
Thank you. Well, that'll be coming back to us to review if the item is passed on Tuesday night. That'll be up to Council. It'll be your decision. Thank you. Any further questions on that last item? Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff, CEO and directors for attending this evening. Sian, thank you for being with us. Thank you very much. At item 9 this evening, urgent business, there is none. At item 10, confidential matters, similarly, there are none. And at closure, I declare the business of tonight's meeting, the agenda briefing, closed, the time being 6:34 p.m, and I thank everyone sincerely for their attendance. Thank you.